Morning, Trainiacs. That was a sizable swim. You're a little smudgy. Clean your face. Beautiful. 4,500 meters, pace of 148 per 100, and about an hour 40. One new record. Longest swim on this watch. A lot of that swim was focused on staying nice and horizontal, like keeping your bum cheeks and your feet close to the water. I'm going to explain that. Fortunately, I have cameras everywhere, and I took a bunch of footage of what to focus on. We're going to do that back at the cavern after I go for a 1 hour hill run, okay? Race you there. That morning was a bit of a bear. That 4,500 meter swim and then 12.5K 1 hour run, all kinds of hills. I'm tired. Okay, so what we've got here is kick footage from me today. I'm going to preface all of this by saying I am not a good kicker. Do as I say, not as I do. However, I'm a good listener and I'm a good yapper. So a lot of these tips that I'm going to give you are from Jerry Rodriguez, Tower 26. He's probably the single best triathlon swim coach in the world. And I'm going to say triathlon swim coach because swimmers who are flexible and have the time to swim 6, 7, 13 times a week are not triathletes, who are time crunched, who are inflexible, who don't have a swim background, who didn't swim as 12-year-olds. We require different coaching. So here's how to kick as a triathlete. So let's start this off with what you absolutely do not want to be doing. Looks like this. You do not want to be grabbing yourself a kickboard, putting your hands way out front on the end of that kickboard, throwing up your goggles and sticking your head out of the water. Why you don't want to do that is because it's critical when you're swimming to have 3 touch points. As you're going across the water, you want the back of your head, your butt cheeks, and your heels to be touching the surface of the water. Doing that ensures that you're going to be skimming across the surface of the water with as little drag as possible. If you're down, your butt cheeks are under the surface of the water and your heels are under the surface of the water, you're going to be creating a ton of drag. And doing this, sticking your head out of the water, it pushes your butt cheeks down. As you can see, mine are under the surface of the water. I'm pushing water and I'm reinforcing those really bad habits. Here's how we train to get around that. You grab yourself that kickboard, you get yourself a snorkel, and you kick with your hands on the back of the kickboard. You put your head in the water, face down with your nose pointing straight down at the bottom of the pool, snorkel over top, and you focus on those 3 touch points. My head, butt cheeks, heels, touching the surface of the water. And then what that results in is a nice straight line across the surface of the water with as little drag as possible. We'll look at that from underwater. You can see the same thing, that back of the head, butt cheeks, heels are just coming out of the surface of the water, and I'm creating as little drag as I possibly can. There's a couple of things that you shouldn't do mimicking what I do. Number 1, see how much my upper body is moving side to side? You can see it better from out of the water. You see how my shoulders and my upper body are moving from side to side? Essentially what you want is from that point forward to be completely stationary. You want it to be a nice tight core. You don't want that kick to be causing vibration going up your body. You want all of the movement to be from that point back. And that's going to ensure that you've got that nice tight core and you're not creating turbulence in the water with your kick. You're just sending as much propulsion forward as you possibly can. Now, second thing that you don't want to be doing, most of you are going to have a tough time avoiding this because we're triathletes, we run a lot, which makes our ankles inflexible. But what I have here is I've got a fair bit of drag basically acting as a wind sail in the water that I'm dragging. If you were an elite swimmer, your foot would be more like this. Now there's one way that we can help at least loosen up our ankles a little bit and also help lift up our legs, make it a little bit easier to get those butt cheeks and the heels at the surface of the water. If you're new and you're really struggling with that, you get yourself a set of fins and you'll see how fluid my kick is. It just looks really nice, if I do say so myself. And what you can see right there, boom, hip to ankle, and it's nice and straight. And what you want is the Tier crossblade fin. I will put a link in the description below to the kit.com with the only fin that Jerry Rodriguez recommends, because you don't want short fins, you don't want super long scuba fins, you want a little bit supple, but you want a rigid enough side so that it counterbalances our really stiff ankles and it puts them in a position where they're forced to plantar flex. Point. Finally, there's one spot back here that I want to show you. You can kind of see it here, how close together my feet are. Essentially, you want to get your feet nice and close together to the point that your big toes are hitting each other. And you do that by just pointing your toes a little bit inward. If they're out and if your legs are splayed out, on the side of your body, you're going to have drag and it's going to initiate a bit of a scissor kick. So you want your legs nice and tight together with your toes just pointed in slightly and your big toes almost passing and rubbing against each other. So now all of this said, a few things to recommend and to especially understand. Number one, we don't kick for propulsion. There wasn't a point in there where I talked really at all about making our kick better to go faster. Why we kick and why we practice kicking that way and getting our body aligned on the surface of the water is to reduce drag, getting a nice balanced body position, and to have a nice long, taut frame. It's not to create propulsion. Even the best swimmers in the world only get about 15% of their propulsion through their kick. And our legs are so big that it sucks a ton of the oxygen out of our body, making it very difficult to go on a 15, 20, 2-hour swim in our races. So it's low return on investment to work on the kick for propulsion. We want to just work on the kick from the standpoint of alignment and balance in the water. So a few things that you need to focus on and remember, starting from here down. You want your head, your butt cheeks, and your heels touching the surface of the water at all times to reduce drag. Here, you want your upper body from basically your belt line up to be completely stationary. I gotta work on that. Down at the feet, you want your toes pointed together, touching each other just slightly. And if you need a little bit of help on your ankle flexibility, get yourself the Tier crossblade fins, and there will be a link in the description below to all of the very specific triathlon tools that we use that are very different than a lot of the things that are recommended out there. But these are for triathletes, and that's what we Trainiacs are. So there you go, Trainiacs. That is how you kick. If you aren't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button below if you are subscribed, and I blew your mind with some of these kick tips. Hit the like button. And check out the Triathlon Taren podcast. It's the most reviewed triathlon podcast in the world, and that's how we actually got to meet Mambo Jerry Rodriguez from Tower 26. It's a good one. Later.